Live from the Export Beer Garden studios and brought to you by Export Ultra, the beer for Valentine's Day. This is the Agenda podcast for the 14th of Feb.
The Agenda Podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Happy Valentine's Day, Tony Lyall.
Yeah, thanks, G Lane. And I agree with you. Export Ultra is the ultimate beer for Valentine's Day. I woke my wife up this morning pressing a cold can against her leg, and she loved it.
Yeah.
She was very pumped up. She was like, thank you very much for this frosty can of beer first thing. I appreciate it, and I love you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it worked because I've got a conundrum you might be able to help me with.
Sure.
So my wedding anniversary is on the 27th of February.
Yep.
And you got Valentine's Day, which is today, the 14th. What we usually do is like, Valentine's Day, we'll go out together and try and do something on our wedding anniversary and just combine the romance to one night rather than the two.
You've only got so much to give.
Absolutely. Small hitch. I'm going to be in Las Vegas for our wedding anniversary.
I know.
And I've let this day pass because I've said we'll do our wedding anniversary, and then last night I was confronted with, aren't you going to be in Vegas? And I was like, shit.
Yeah, that's tough. What I would suggest is doing something large scale before you go. So maybe at a nice night for dinner, book the babysitter.
Yeah.
Make it so that you're front footing it so that when you're leaving in a positive.
Okay.
And then have something planned for after you get back as well to sort of mop up some of the mess that I'm sure you will make while you're in Vegas.
Okay.
It gives you a bit of leeway there. You can start off with positive brownie points,
Yes.
and I'm sure you'll lose all those while you're over there. Stories will leak back to her. She'll hear about debauchery. She'll see the debauchery. And then when you come back, you can, like, even maybe that first night back, say, hey, listen, I've actually booked us a nice dinner to reconnect. I know we missed our anniversary date.
Yeah.
You might be punishingly hungover after the flight or potentially still steamed from having a few beers on the plane. But I think that gives you sort of a bit of leeway both ways.
Okay.
And then you'll sort of, maybe it'll be a net even after that.
So you're saying spit roast the Vegas weekend?
I think.
With kind of a little bit of sprinkling of romance.
I'd spit roast the weekend.
Okay.
That was for sure. And just be careful not to spit roast it when you're there. Make sure you're spit roasting it.
And back in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good advice, actually. I've probably got to front foot this because what'll happen is it'll creep up on me again. I'll be like, see you, I'm flying out tonight.
Yeah.
Bye.
You don't want to leave with her already annoyed at you for sort of being behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
You want to leave in the positive.
Yeah.
Like a nice farewell at the airport. She's out there, waving a glove like a ship in the 1920s. Sort of, she wants a good departure is crucial.
Okay.
If you've got a quiet Uber ride to the airport with no text back already, that's tough stuff.
Bring her back a bottle of creme de menthe or something?
Yeah, I love a little bottle of Carlure, actually, from the duty-free.
Yeah.
What I also think is important, always get the duty-free, not the last one you go through, because it looks like a real afterthought. Like if you're getting Auckland on a return flight and you're giving that as the gift, they're kind of like, oh, this is the last thing you thought of. Like you just grabbed this as you ran through to meet me at the airport. You want to get your overseas terminal. So I guess if you're leaving in Las Vegas, I don't know where you fly out, where you fly out of LAX, get it in LAX. Get something that you could only get there. So, hey, listen, I was thinking of you when I was at the airport in LA. So here's what I bought you there, as opposed to being like, oh, here's a bottle of brandy snaps I just got from Auckland Airport that you could have got from, Super Liquor.
What's your thoughts on giving your partner the free complimentary bag of moisturizers and toothpaste you get in business class?
I do it all the time.
Okay,
I like to come back, I throw those around, shower them. I usually get a handful of lollies for the kids, and that's usually all they'll get these days. And you go, oh, look at these lollies I got from you. Business class, you say?
Yeah.
You're flying business class?
Wow, I've upgraded myself.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You got to do these things. You got to treat yourself.
Yeah.
That makes it harder to sort of make it seem like it's a punishing trip you're going on to as well. That's a brownie point loss.
I've got form as well, because over the holidays, I went and visited my brother in Japan as a family.
Yes.
And I had an upgrade owing with Air New Zealand, which I applied for, and nothing came through. And I said to my wife, I've got 2 upgrades owing. I've applied for both legs to get upgraded. It's a day flight over there, so I'll take that one. And on the way back, it's a night flight, and you take that one because you can sleep overnight. And she's like, okay, that sounds good. So I get upgraded to premium, not to business.
Mm-hmm.
I get criticised for only visiting them twice back in economy. Now, I was in the middle row of premium, so it was I couldn't up and go all the time. The guy next to me wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
So, first of all, as soon as we arrived in Japan, I got criticised. Thanks for visiting us twice. Well done. And then, unfortunately, on the way back, my upgrade didn't go through.
Yeah, that's tough.
And so, her side of the story is, oh, how was Japan? It was like, oh, it was great. Mike got upgraded on the way over and sat up front, and we sat at the back. And then I just sat with the kids.
Yeah, I think you've made a crucial error there. What you should have done is when that first upgrade came through, that's when you say you take the first one.
Okay.
And then no matter what, either you're getting upgraded on the way home, and that's great as well, and it's the night flight.
Okay.
And you can say, hey, listen, because it's less likely. This one's guaranteed. So you take the bird in the hand, and I'll take two in a bush later. And then when you fly home, either you get it or you don't, and then boom, positive brownie points.
Yeah, see, look, where were you when I needed you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Only Lyall.
And I actually think, I'll say this, I think 2 visits, that's more than enough.
Thank
it's an
you.
8-hour flight to Japan, I believe. I think 2 visits, I mean, if you're up, that's 1 every 4 hours.
Yeah.
You don't want to interrupt a movie. It's a long time. I think 2 is probably fine.
And the kids visited me multiple times.
Yeah.
Basically,
that counts. That's the same.
Because they were making me order the fingers of Whitakers because you get as many as you want in premium.
Oh, the Sante.
Yeah, and so the Sante bars. And so I think they mowed through about 60 Sante bars until they cottoned on that there was a dude ordering Sante bars.
Yeah, there was children running up from the sort of bottom of the boat where Jack was on the Titanic and coming up after dancing with the other Irish down the back of the plane.
Looting the rich.
Yeah, looting the rich. That is actually a Robin Hood scenario to come up to eat those Sante bars. I don't know he had a limited supply. I actually flew back from Australia and got a wee upgrade recently, and didn't even occur to me to stock my pockets with Sante bars.
You got to do it.
Yeah, I would have loved it.
Got to do it. Anyway, bit of recap last night. We had the inaugural Snackachangi Sports Awards, the Changies, we called them. We had it there at Spark Arena in a small little area of Spark Arena.
Yes.
It was a great night, attended by the who's who of the ACC in the sporting world.
Yeah, the who's who and the who's they.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, there was a couple of big winners from the night. Lockie Ferguson, he won the best facial hair configuration category. And he sent us a wee video because he's in Pakistan, so he was unable to make it. But he sent us a great little video. Here's his acceptance speech.
Good evening, horses and horsettes. Just want to say what a privilege it is to receive the Snackachangi Award for Best Facial Hair Configuration. Now, of course, over the years, a lot of hard work has gone into it, so I really appreciate the recognition for this award. Congratulations to the other finalists. I hope you guys have a ripper of an evening. I'll certainly be tuning in from Karachi here in Pakistan and look forward to seeing the other award winners. But all the best, guys. Cheers.
So there you go. It was great to have him there.
His head's gonna spin when he realised that a horset is actually called a mare.
Yeah.
Sort of coming in with a horse and a horse head. I like his moustache. I thought that was controversial, to be honest.
Yeah, did you?
Well, he's had it for a long time. It's very conventional, just the top of the lip slug. I mean, yours is probably as good as his.
Yeah, it went to a public vote, though. This is the thing. So
yeah, sometimes the public don't know what they're talking about, quite frankly.
Well, that's why there was some other categories with some strange decisions as well.
Yeah, there certainly were. I mean, I do like the Fuckamana's moustache.
Yeah.
I like that he's had it for a long time. It's not just a fad he's going through. He's really persevered with it. But I do think if he shaved it off, he would look about 12 years old immediately.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Chris Key was in that category as well for some reason. Right?
Well, his is sort of the same. It's just a normal run-of-the-mill slug.
Yeah.
I think the other character, the leaguey who was in there he had a real sort of Lorax-style moustache. I think he should have taken that one out.
Yeah, the real womb broom, wasn't it? But he was Australian, though.
Disgusting.
So I think the voters went, nah.
Every now and again, I will grow usually with a beard combo, I will say that, but it makes it impossible when you do have a really long, straggly moustache.
Yeah.
You're trying to eat a burger, you're trying to drink a coffee, you constantly look like you've sort of, just eaten out a snowman. It's no good.
Yeah, it's true. I have to trim mine quite often because otherwise it gets into a kind of Ned Flanders, the shelf situation. You got to kind of keep on trimming it.
Oh, what I wouldn't do for a bit of volume of the moustache. I have a very sort of sex-pesty moustache when it comes in. It's no good. I wear glasses as well, so I look a bit lovely bones if I grow just the moustache. I've got a very forgiving wife. I get up to a lot of antics, and she never gives me any grief, really, at all, ever. But the one thing she has said to me, she said, I don't really like it when you've just got a moustache.
Yeah,
and my dad has notoriously had a mustache my whole life. I've never seen him without it, and she's like, "You just look so much like your dad. I don't like it."
Oh, yeah.
And she never,
Fair enough.
gives me a very long leash, and so I'm like, "Well, if I can do this one thing that you don't, if this is the one thing that I don't have to do is have a mustache, then I can do everything else I want. I don't mind."
So for her, it's a visual thing, not a tactile thing. Because
No,
obviously you've got the beard, which
she just
includes
says you look like your old man, look too much like your dad. It's just, I just don't like it.
It's
I'm
like,
like, that's fair
it's
enough.
like banging your dad.
Yeah, she's got sort of no real will to make out with my dad. So, I don't mind keeping it that way.
Okay, well, other big winner of the night was with the own goal of the year. So we had the ACC own goal of the year. We had the commentator's curse of the year, which was an absolute slam dunk for Chris Key. We had the most awkward moment of 24, which went to Christopher Luxon at the Auckland FC opener when he called the Port the Pride.
Yeah, it's pretty awkward.
And then he got the whole, hey, what's on your shirt, flick in the head face.
Yeah, it's tough. When I think of the Pride, obviously Pride is associated with sort of Pride parades, sort of the queer community.
Yeah.
And if I can imagine anyone whose values probably don't align with that of the Pride community, it's probably the Port. I'd say there's probably a few things being said in there that go against what you'd imagine would happen at a Pride parade. So, yeah, it's not one you get mixed up with easily.
Yeah, he called them the Auckland Pride. It was very funny. And there we also had the Chris Ratu Hot Take of the Year. Ian Smith took that out for his absolute takedown of Mitchell Satner's test ability before he then won us the test series in India.
Yeah, I know. I'm a mixed bag on that one because I obviously think it was a huge own goal. I don't know what he was thinking when he said it. But I do like someone who has hot takes, especially someone who's kind of close to the environment. So I don't hate it. I like it when someone throws out a few barbs every now and again. Maybe that's the sort of thing that fired up Mitch Santner. You know, maybe he pinned that to the
on
board
purpose
in the changing shed and was like, I'm going to show this fat old fuck who's boss. And then that was what caused him to get all those wickets because it did come out of the blue. I mean, his record before that, Ian Smith, you'd have to say he wasn't talking nonsense. He only was when we saw what Mitch was able to do over there. So I think maybe it's the motivator he needs, and maybe some more people need it. You know, Devon Conway, you're a piece of shit. Feel free to clip that up, and maybe he listens to that in his headphones for the games in the Champions Trophy, and I can say that I, encouraged him to get 300s.
I don't think but do you think he should listen to you saying he's a piece of shit?
Yeah, just put that,
over and over.
Put that on. Can we clip that up?
You're a piece of shit.
Just put it in his headphones the whole way. And Devon, just so you know, I don't actually mean that. I'm just trying to encourage you, man.
Also, we had the ACC own goal of the year. This one, the finalists for that were Auckland FC because their first ever goal.
A literal own goal.
Was it a literal own goal? Another own goal for us is we gave away our own station vehicle and now we don't have one. That was a massive own goal. But hands down, the one that took it out was the Pinot for their support of the Warriors who went backwards because of their support. Probably not because of it. But Matt Heath was there to accept that award on behalf of all of the Pinot Noirs, and here's his speech.
This is going to sit on my shelf right there with my 25-metre competence in the water swimming from Māori Hill Primary School. Thank you so much. Love yous, fuck yous.
Yeah, it was a nice, succinct speech, wasn't it? Sort of leaving nothing unsaid, but saying it all. Yeah. I thought it was great, and I think it was a huge own goal. I remember when the Pinot Noirs movement sort of started just from an innocuous enough sort of photo on Instagram, and it really just launched into the stratosphere. You know, I was working at Hodaki at the time, and they became a full sort of station promotion. We wanted to push it all. Everyone was doing the Pinot Noir, and it was from that exact moment that it fell off a cliff. And, I believe in sort of superstition when it comes to sport. I think sometimes this like juju can cause a team to collapse, and I think maybe the juju just wasn't in the way of the Pinot Noirs.
I think they should just lean into it, the Pinot Noirs. I think they should fully lean into it.
Come back.
Yeah, and make a comeback.
Well, it would be nice to see if the Warriors could do, they release 80,000 jerseys a year, right? So maybe this is the year when the Warriors release a Pinot Noirs sort of, come out with a nice sort of burgundy shirt.
Maybe it should be white, just with speckles of, when you get too pissed and you spill it down your white top.
It should be like a dress shirt at a wedding. So it's got like fake button up down the front, and then just a big sort of
red wine
flurry
stain
of red wine down the middle. And it is embarrassing when you do that at a wedding. It's hard to you've got to lean into it.
You can't come back.
You can't put a tie over it.
Well, you automatically take the tie off and tie the tie around your head.
Yeah, and everyone goes, that guy's a character.
Yeah,
Jeez,
look
that
at
guy's
him. Look at him.
Was that guy the MC? Jeez, he's really leaning into some fun after this.
You got to own it. Also, a big thanks to Hell Pizza providing the pizzas last night and feeding everyone. We had Snackachangi chips and nuts galore.
It was my first time, putting all those nuts in my mouth.
How good.
Snackachangi nuts. I really enjoyed it.
Big?
I didn't hate it. They were bigger than I thought they were going to be.
The salt and vinegar, or the vinegar and salt, never knew. I was going, what? On a cashew nut? But they are...
It's quite it's one of those things, like, when you go to a fancy restaurant and the dessert will kind of look like an egg, but then you eat it and it's actually like, peach and some sort of froth or some horse shit like this.
Yeah.
But your mind takes a while to get around what's happening. And then afterwards you're like, this actually tastes good.
Yeah.
It's not an egg, but I get the flavors. It was kind of like that with me with the vinegar and salt. As I ate it, I thought my brain was going, what on earth is going on here?
Yeah, and the Export Ultras were flowing as well. Great night.
They certainly were.
Yeah, great night for everyone. And we'll post out everyone's awards that weren't able to make it, the likes of Victor Vito and Ian Smith.
Yeah, what could Victor Vito have possibly been doing that he was too busy to come along to the Changies? That was my question.
I don't know. It's different strokes for different folks. I don't know.
I wouldn't mind giving him a few strokes. Man, he looks pretty good with his shirt off, guy. I think it would have been great if maybe he was a waiter, a special guest waiter. Like
just with no shirt on.
Yeah, exactly. Like at a Hens do, potentially. You have a hot waiter walking around shirtless.
He's still in good nick.
Yeah, I think it was my wife's Hens do. One she had planned, and they had a waiter who was walking around. He was in good nick, but the feedback afterwards was that he ate all the chips. So he was walking around offering drinks, but he just kept eating the chips the whole time. And they had to say to him, "Go, hey, listen,
stop eating the chips."
Yeah, we don't have enough for you to be constantly eating the chips. There's more people to come. We just didn't think you were going to eat so many chips. He had about 3 bags in the end. It's tough.
It is tough. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about a bit of Super Rugby, but also Jimmy Butler has been seen at the NBA, and it looks like he might have shat himself.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably exactly what's happened.
Rightio, before we get stuck into Super Rugby, Tony Lyall, which we're commentating tonight, and then I'm commentating the Chiefs Blues with McConey on Saturday.
Well, that'll be a nice even-keeled affair. No bias in that game at all with you two absolute wounders shouting Chiefs Munner into the microphone for 80 whole minutes.
Yeah, DWZ, he's out until May with a dislocated wrist. Is it the curse of the Changies? Because he won the best mullet last night in the awards.
And his wrist is the thing he uses the most. Now tell me, do you know, is his left or right hand?
Don't know.
Hopefully he can still sort of plunder himself with his other hand. But also, that's what he's known for, putting the ball down, those huge dives. Yes. Is he still going to be able to do that? Will he have the confidence to do it with a newly healed wrist?
He must have done it, practicing it, because he does practice that.
He practices the dive. He must have the strongest wrist of all time. If he's practicing
not
those
anymore,
dives.
He's dislocated it.
Yeah, I know. He should have been, not too many weights, not enough wrist work, I guess.
Yeah. So, he's out till May, which is going to be a bit of a blow. And also another NRL news. I feel like this discussion is like the Auckland Stadium discussion. It just keeps going on and then goes nowhere. So another New Zealand expansion franchise has put their hand up, Mana Pacifica.
Yeah.
Which is declared their intention for the NRL. And this obviously it's going to be a consortium made up of Pacifica players. Eden Parker said you can play there, and they said they can play in Pacific Islands as well. That'll never happen. Mayor Wayne Brown has said, yeah, I'm into it. Thoughts?
Well, I don't know what Wayne Brown's got to do with anything. He's just chipping in, trying to be like,
they've asked him.
Maybe I'll appeal to some Pacific voters here. Yeah, why not? We should have a Pacific team. I don't know. There's been a South Island team that's been trying to chip in for, it seems like a decade. They've got absolutely nowhere. This team here, I just can't see it. It's one of those things you're like, yeah, great. This would be cool if it happened. But is it going to happen? I mean, there's a PNG team queued up to come in.
That's because we need China to come and start currying favour with us.
Yeah.
And then the US will then come in and go, how can we stop the Chinese influence? And the Australians will go, well, we can give them a couple more NRL teams.
Yeah.
And then we'll go, hell yeah, they'll give them the money, and then we'll get rid of the Chinese.
Yeah, I think that'd be, that's some real
PNG,
bilateral. Yeah,
worked for PNG.
That's some good thinking, actually. Some good political savvy being applied to get the sports teams the way we want them.
Well, PNG did it. Yeah. That's how they got it. So why can't we play that game?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. You're like, yeah, cool. It just seems like words at this stage. I don't know. Is that what we need? Do we need another team?
It's one of these things. It's never going to happen. It's just a bit of a... Unfortunately, it's not going to happen for a very long time. The Warriors are not going to support it.
No.
No way they want to support it.
It'll pillage their playing base. It'll pillage the fan base. Yeah. I mean, are they going to play at Eden Park? Who's going to go? There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, okay, so moving on along to Super Rugby. The earliest start ever. Super Rugby history kicks off tonight, Valentine's Day. It is going to be the Crusaders versus the Hurricanes down in Christchurch. And the Crusaders have come in as hot favourites at the TAB. $1.70, where the Hurricanes are paying $2.15. I'm struggling with it a little bit, and I can only put it down to the fact that I don't believe, the bookies mustn't believe that the Hurricanes have a first five that's good enough to win this game. And obviously, the Crusaders have got James O'Connor on their bench. Former Wallabies, played first five, played wing, played fullback. So I don't know where they're getting their intel from. Hurricanes have two debutants in their backs without Geordie Barrett, I suppose. So I don't know. I don't know why Crusaders came almost last year.
Yeah, well, they certainly did, but I think it is just the fact that it is the Crusaders. I mean, they sort of glide through on their legacy. They always have. I mean, that legacy is pretty storied, to be fair, but the team is still absolutely stacked. A lot of the players, Cullen Grace, Ethan Blackadder, Christian Leo Willie, that back three.
Yeah.
Almost a bad slip of the tongue there. But, it's not true because Cullen Grace and Ethan Blackadder there. Talk about exciting whites. They're all solid. They're all nearly All Blacks, the whole team. I think that they've got a solid 10 as well. That 9-10 combination for the Crusaders, Noah Hotham and Taha Kemera. They go back to high school or something like this. So I think it's a solid bet. If I was putting money on it, I'd chuck it on the Satyrs. I think the Hurricanes. Yeah, I would actually. I'd be chucking it on the Satyrs. I'm sure they've been training the house down there in Christchurch. Just that 9th place finish last year really was egg on their face. I don't think they like that one. So I think they're going to be coming in hot.
But on the other end, you've got the Hurricanes, who were gutted not to make the final last year. They went through all of round robin pretty much undefeated, and then just tripped up at the last hurdle against the Chiefs for that semi-final. So they'll be hurting because they'll be like, we deserved that title last year. We were the best team in the competition, or them and the Blues. But yeah, you're right. Looking at there's plenty more names in the Crusaders.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. A lot of young blood as well in the Hurricanes team. I think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to be an exciting match, and I think it's going to be like indicative of this new era of Super Rugby where there's a lot of new faces, a lot of flashy sort of players, and I'm quite excited to see how it does crumble. The thing that I had noticed, and I should go through and change my fantasy team, is Peter Larkai on the bench for the Hurricanes. Yes. All Black at the end of last year, and they thought, you know what, we're going to Brad Shields. He's one of the 85 co-captains in this Hurricanes team. Duplessis Karifi and Braden Yossi. They're rounding out the back three. But this co-captain's horseshit.
Ugh.
It doesn't make it. You can't have four. I'm going to go full boomer dad here and say, pull your head in. You can't have four captains. That's just everyone being a captain.
Who talks to the ref?
Well,
my suggestion this morning.
It's nuts.
I was on Hodaki this morning. I said, just make everyone a captain, and then everyone can talk to the ref, and then no one's going to get penalised for talking back.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's the sort of thing. I can only imagine what our granddads would have thought of this. They'd be saying some things that would make the pride cringe.
Wouldn't happen at the Crusaders.
It certainly wouldn't. They've got David Havili. He's the captain. No mucking around. I think even for the Crusaders, they were like a back as captain. I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is the first back to be captain.
First ever back to be captain of the Crusaders, that's nuts. There's about 4 or 5 backs captaining the Hurricanes. It just seems like captain by definition is like a leader.
Yes.
If you have 4 of them, they're no longer they're like sort of some sort of general. I don't know what the ranks work. I've never spent time in the military. Shout out to the boys out there in the military. I love what you're doing. But I'm sure if you're on the battlefield and there was 4 captains and you're like, what do we do? And this guy's like, shoot the Turks. And this guy's like, get in the foxhole. And he's like, throw the grit. You're like, well, who do I listen to here? It's nuts. I don't like it. And it's new age thinking that I think we can do without.
Well, speaking of which, your beloved Highlanders have done the same.
Well, they haven't quite done the same. They've got a couple of captains.
So Hugh Renton is co-captain along with Tavatawa Nawai.
Yeah, and that makes more sense. I can actually get behind this because there's one in the backs, there's one in the forwards. So that's like they've got 2 generals, one on each team.
Okay.
Do I love it? No. But do I understand it? More so here. Hugh Renton, what a mana-filled leader he is. John O'Pryor running out
giant
there.
John O'Pryor.
Skinhead as long as the days. Like, he's the guy you want to follow into battle. And to be fair, Tavatawa Nawai, he's the same. He's out there getting more steals than anyone, scoring more tries than anyone.
Good to see him at 12 as well.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised to see him running in there at 12. I think you just want him as involved as he can possibly be, the closer to the ball, especially.
Absolutely.
That team is so incredibly young. I heard a stat that was the squad average age at the Highlanders is 22 years old, which is,
that's a great place to be as a 22-year-old.
Imagine that. In Dunedin, you're just full student living the life. It is the days like when Mark Ellis was down there. The students are actually playing the professional rugby in Dunedin. There's a few excitement machines down there. I'll say this. There's a few names I've never heard. So I'm excited to see what they can put together. They're heading over to Sydney to play the Tars at home. The Tars, they're no chumps. So that's going to be, I think, a real barometer of where the Landers are this season with that new young squad. But honestly, I think they can put it together, and they're going to surprise a few people this year.
And you got Jamie Joseph back at the helm down there as well. He took them to a title, their maiden Super Rugby title. But I've got a multi going. It's paying $23 this multi, and it's just picking winners. I've gone for Hurricanes. I've gone for the Retards, against Highlanders. I've also, we'll talk about this next game. I've actually gone for the Blues against my beloved Chiefs.
Wow, that's
purely because, I don't know, Chiefs are missing a few players from last year. Their front row is not the greatest compared to the Blues, who have got Ofa Tuangafasi, Marcel Renata, and Ricky Riccatelli.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs, Ollie Norris, Brody McAllister, George Dyer. They're okay. But they're not off a Tuangafasi.
No, it's an outrageous team sheet, that Blues team sheet. Even in the reserves, it's startling. I'll say this: the reserves for the Chiefs team is outrageous. You got Aiden Ross, Ruben O'Neill, Tupu Vai, Simapeni Finau, Cortez Ratama, Anton Leonard-Brown, and Amoni Narawa. There's like 6 All Blacks in that reserve lineup. So I'd say they're going to do a bomb squad. They're going to roll in these ABs after maybe lulling the Blues into a false sense of security. And I think that's when the game is going to become interesting.
Do you think that's after what happened to them in the final?
Yeah.
Do you think this is a tactic? Because in the final, they got absolutely steamrolled right up front in the first half. And it was this game's over.
Does this qualify as some sort of rest and relaxation period or whatever for the All Blacks in the team? Like if you're just coming off the bench, it's not a full game, or I don't know. It seems like a bold choice. Maybe they're saying, hey, listen, the Blues, this is probably our biggest challenge early.
Yeah.
Let's just ease our way into it. But the other thing I want to talk about that I think is noteworthy, and I wonder if this is indicative of where New Zealand rugby is the number 15s in that game. We've got Bowden Barrett, Damien McKenzie, who are both supposed to be the All Blacks first 5. Yeah. They're both starting at 15 for their respective teams. And I was thinking about this at first, thinking, oh, God, why is our NZ rugby so at odds? Like the All Blacks and the Chiefs and the Blues saying, no, we don't want to play it. And then I thought maybe this is 2 players who can read the writing on the wall. They've heard the sort of barking that Rays has been doing about getting Richie Mo'unga back. And they're thinking, well, we're not going to be playing 10 at next Rugby World Cup because obviously this guy has a massive wide on for Richie.
Yeah.
So if I can just cement myself at 15, I might have a place in that team, show my versatility. Of course, I can play 10, but I'm actually should be starting 15 here potentially, and they're actually just bowing down to Richie Mo'unga.
I think that's a great conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
A great conspiracy theory, but I think it's as simple as they just want to get their best players on the park in the best positions and using them in the best way. Because if they put Damien McKenzie at 10, then who do they put at fullback? Because Josh Jacobs not really a fullback, but he's a better first 5 than he is fullback.
I hear what you're saying, but then you're like, surely you have your best players in their best positions. And does that not matter anymore? Because then why don't we have Josh Jacob playing for the All Blacks at 10 if he can keep Damien McKenzie at 15?
Well, what will happen is I guarantee that he'll go to first 5 at some stage. Actually, probably won't, because who'd go to fullback? It won't be Amoni Narawa.
Certainly won't be Ruben O'Neill.
No, certainly not Samapeni Finau. I can't wait to watch Samapeni Finau fold someone. Who's the first person he's going to absolutely bend in half?
Well, he's got to bend someone over at the neck. I'd say, what are the odds on Samapeni Finau getting a yellow card in this game?
Pretty high.
I might put some money on that. He's
pretty high. I'm going to go for, I reckon he's going to, the first person he's going to snap from the Blues. I'm looking at, he usually targets first 5s.
I was thinking old Lachlan McQuannell, just a big, tall, lanky guy. Maybe he'll come off at first receiver.
Okay.
Sort of put the arms in the air, and Samapeni Finau is going to fold him in half like an origami crane.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the halfback, Funaki. I think he's going to try and step Finau. Finau will try and go low. His shoulder will slip up onto his chin.
Yes, certainly will.
And lights out. So that game is 7 o'clock Saturday. Myself, James McConey, calling that one on iHeartradio, Radio Hauraki. And then the last game is Moana Pacifica versus the Force out in Perth. This has to be a game that Moana Pacifica have targeted, saying we must win this game.
Well, they've got to get off to a flyer. It's the classic thing of a team like Moana Pacifica, where if they can string a few wins together at the start of the season, then people will flood on board and be like, the dream is alive, let's do it. But if they get off first to a stinker, it's going to be another long season for them. The massive talking point, of course, Adi Savia has been throwing the armband, playing at 8 as well, which I wondered, is that again one of the players playing slightly out of position? Do we want him to be playing 8 for everywhere else as well?
Yeah, I think for Moana, they just want to get the pill in his hand as much as possible, and if it's coming off the back of the scrum, that's where he's going to play. So that's going to be an interesting one. In my multi, I've gone Moana, take that one out. I think the motivation for them to win is far greater than the Force.
Yeah.
And that multi, so Moana, Blues, Waratahs, and Hurricanes. That's $23 that's paying.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like good eating. I can't believe you bet against your own team. That's something that I myself would never do, but sure, you're able to dog your own team like that. I don't know how you sleep at night. And the other thing I thought was noteworthy with the Minor Pacifica, they're playing out of North Harbour this year. They've decided we're going to play the Pacific stronghold of New Zealand, as we all know, is the North Shore.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense. They're going to go play there, and North Harbour must have got a good deal throwing the keys to the Albany Stadium.
I think they got forced out by FC and the Warriors.
Yeah, well, it is. When you see some of the crowds they were getting last year, and then you see the crowds that Auckland FC and the Warriors are getting, you can imagine it was a pretty easy conversation for the guys down there at Go Hard to have.
It's a shame they can't turn it into a big Super Day. We have Moana play, Warriors play, and Auckland FC play all in one afternoon.
That would be a logistical nightmare, but I do like the idea. I think it's kind of cool. Didn't they do that once at Eden Park? There was sort of back-to-back games.
I think rugby, the football one's probably is not possible. Different fans, different shape field, different posts, slightly logistically, but a Moana Pacifica Warriors game makes sense.
If Kendrick Lamar can perform at halftime at the Super Bowl, then they can play 3 games with 3 different codes on Mount Smart. And that, to be fair, in terms of the scale of New Zealand and America, that's probably like for like, I think. Yeah. Having Kendrick Lamar do a full-scale performance, call Drake a pedophile on TV in front of 150 million people.
And everyone think it's awesome.
Yeah, I know, it is. I do like the idea that, we're all worried about people's mental health, looking after each other. We all want to be kind, but also it is pretty funny to call a guy a pedophile on TV. Like, I understand that. I think I can reconcile the differences between those two things in myself.
Okay, so we've got live and free coverage, so don't have to pay a subscription, don't have to pay for it, of all of Super Rugby and All Blacks this season on iHeartradio. Search Alternative on iHeartradio, and also now simulcast on Radio Hauraki. Okay, so what this means, though, on Radio Hauraki, it means that if you've got a radio at home or you're in the car or whatever, switch it on the frequency, and it is synced up exactly to the vision. So you can just mute the vision, mute the missionary, and just stick on Hauraki. And
that's beautiful.
And you'll have the commentary. If you don't know what the frequencies are for Hauraki, if you live in the North Island, text North to 3236, and you'll get all the frequencies from where you live. In the South Island, do the same, text South to 3236. You'll get all the frequencies. Tune in tonight from 7 p.m. Coverage brought to you by Max Raft, Insulated Concrete Foundations, the legends at Max Raft. They've been supporting us for a number of years now. So if you are building a new home, get onto Max Raft. We'll take a quick break. We're going to be back with a few Yours Pleases.
Yours Please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
Right, it's the talkback function on your iHeartradio app. It's on your phone. If you open up iHeart, you'll see a little microphone in the left-hand corner. You press that, and you can send us your own little talkback message. We'll play it on the podcast. It'd be great. If you haven't used it, get onto it. Otherwise, we seem to be listening to the same people. Yours, please.
Yeah, well, that talk podcast actually got a good listen, G Lane. Brett Haddon speaks about how much John takes him every week, which is quite good. And the other co-host actually is Elise Healy, who is the Australian women's captain and Mitchell Stark's wife. So, don't know what to think about that.
It's always good to hear someone sending a talk back after drinking 3 bottles of Tia Maria. There was some slurring in there. His voice was going up and down. That was a wild ride.
What he was referencing to is the notorious pantsman Joel Harrison has got a new job over in Australia, and he is producing Willow Talk with Brad Haddon and Alicia Healy.
Wow.
And they roasted him on the first episode and really set him up, actually. Asked him for his favourite cricket moment, New Zealand cricket moment, and he said it was the Harry Jav 6 and us winning the World Test Championship.
Of course.
And Alicia Healy went, what, not the White Ferns winning the World Cup? And he goes, well, yeah, that too, but those were my favourite.
Yeah.
So you asked me for my favourite one. Anyway, so poor guy. So we'll get an update from the Pants Man. Might talk to him next week, see how he's going with the Willow Talk.
Yeah, that's a nice. It's a weird title, isn't it? And this might have been what that person then was alluding to. It does make it sound like those two are making love.
Yes.
It sounds like they're fornicating. Willow Talk, obviously, a play on Pillow Talk.
Yeah.
So it's a post-cordial podcast. So they sort of, Lisa Healy cheats. And then they
Mitchell Stark.
Yeah, then they sort of have a yarn about cricket afterwards, because that doesn't seem appropriate at all. And the Pants Man, does he watch the cheating?
Well, you know the Pants Man.
Yeah, he certainly would. I'd say he'd be golluming in the corner or
absolutely.
potentially in the cuck chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next one, yours, please.
Yeah, g'day fellas. Just working away up here in Whangarei from out of town. The roadie network around the CBD here is quite fucking shit from about 4:30 onwards in the afternoon. You wouldn't want to be stuck in a natural disaster. You're fucking going nowhere. You're going to get flooded out. Similar, Wellington vibes, only sort of 1 or 2 ways in and around. What other towns or areas in New Zealand would you not want to be stuck in a natural disaster if you had to get the fuck out? Uru.
Great question.
Yeah, Napier famously bad to be in during a natural disaster. And I'm talking about the earthquake there just to just quell any sort of cancellation that might be forthcoming.
Yeah. The Devonport Peninsula.
Yeah.
You can get cut off.
Well, I feel like you could be cut off on purpose
Yes.
there. Like if there was some sort of zombie apocalypse, you could say, listen, burn the bridges, cut it off, and you could live quite an idyllic lifestyle while the rest of the world burns there.
Yeah, that's true. And where else? I mean, look.
Well, Invercargill, but that's almost already a bit like a natural disaster's hit.
Yeah.
Just a real depressing shithole.
Yeah. Shout out to our listeners in Southland.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I mean, Wellington is niggly because it's all the houses are on the cliffs and stuff. So
And for the record, I'd rather live in Invercargill than Wellington. Just putting that out there.
There's no escape. I'm trying to think about where I wouldn't want to be. West Coast potentially.
Yeah, West Coast is very you're very isolated naturally as well. So if anything goes really bad, it's hard to get out. If Arthur's Pass crumbled, which I'm sure it would, and any sort of large earthquake. I know down there as well, they're sort of just hanging out, really waiting for some more movement on that Alpine fault, and I think it'll all wash away.
I got a vibe of the road on the West Coast. Like if something happened, then people would just be going around eating each other.
Yeah, I think there would be. But a lot of people would have freezers full of meat that they can live on for years. I think a lot of them are survivalists anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of bunkers.
Preppers, I think they're called, who are already ready for doomsday. So it's actually probably a good place to be.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I'll take that back.
Hamilton, just in general.
You don't speak ill of my hometown.
Oh, I just was trying to wind you up there. It's actually probably a pretty safe place to be, nice and flat and
flat
high.
It's flat as. It's got plenty of water going through it, so you're not going to die of thirst.
You can't drink it or swim in it, but still.
Hey, you can, and we do.
I mean, you can.
Auckland drinks the water out of the Waikato.
Yeah, well, I mean, I need to see some documentation on that. I need to just cite your sources about us scaling water out of the Waikato.
It was a great gag when we were in Hamilton to go take a dump in the river and someone in Auckland will drink it. Okay, next yours, please.
Morning, fellas. Just listening to yesterday's podcast. You guys talking about the pre-Valentine shit. The day before Valentine's was my birthday. It was an alright day. Just before bed, got asked if I'd got a Valentine's gift. I said, oh yeah, probably. So, so fuck Valentine's. I'm getting in trouble on my birthday for not doing Valentine's. Fuck you, it's my day. Never mind fucking Valentine's. I love yous. Fuck Valentine's.
Well, it sounds like you've got a great relationship, and it sounds like everything's going pretty well for you at home as well, mate. So that's nice. I mean,
look, I think he's jumped the gun a little bit because he said he's getting in trouble for not doing Valentine's, and it's not even Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But to be on his side, he's getting his balls busted on his own birthday.
Yeah.
Saying, what do you got me? About his, goes, it's my birthday, what do you got me?
I also think Valentine's is one of those days you're more than within your rights to get a present on the day and give it later. And they don't need to wake up.
Nah.
It's not the birthday. You don't need to wake up, showered, and presents.
Nah.
You can say, I can get flowers on the way home from work on Valentine's Day, and that is more than enough. Also, flowers, I think, is a really great option because you can't really get them early.
No.
Because you can't come home with a big bouquet of flowers on the 13th because, first of all, it's this guy's birthday. And secondly, she's like, well, those for you. Like, well, that's tomorrow for Valentine's Day, but it sort of spoiled the surprise. So you could actually sort of position it as you're doing a more romantic thing by only getting it on the actual day.
From a BP.
From a BP. And, you're in there getting flowers with people who are late to a funeral, who have made a horrific sort of mess the night before in their personal life. So they're getting some flowers to say sorry for.
And maybe a box of Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, a box of Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. Sort of feed them up.
Yep. Okay, next one. Yours, please. Last one.
This is in response to Mr. Phil McCunton. The history between Cambridge and Leamington is reasonably fascinating. Back in the day, Cambridge used to be where the officers lived and Leamington was where the soldiers lived. And then Leamington became where all the freezing workers and farmhands lived, and then Cambridge side was where all the wankers who work in the big corporate jobs lived. So fuck Cambridge, up Leamington.
Okay, I love that. Thank you very much. That is very informative.
Yeah, very well spoken, very, very articulate, can I just say. He's always had a good
education. Got to the point. You've only got 30 seconds.
He really does. And can I just say, I would love to know what the big corporate jobs in Cambridge would be.
There's a lot of commuters. Now that there's that Cambridge-Hamilton motorway.
Oh, so they're commuting to Hamilton.
Yes.
So they're going to the business metropolis of Hamilton.
Hey, you fucking watch your mouth, okay?
When
that's
I think business...
that's 2. Strike 3 and you're fucking out.
When I think big
Strike
business...
3, you're fucking out of here.
Movers and shakers in the New Zealand economy rolling around in their suits doing cocaine at lunch.
Hamilton
I'm not thinking about Hamilton.
Is the heart of rural New Zealand. That is the heartbeat of rural New Zealand, Hamilton. Maybe of Dairy.
And I agree with you, but that's not where the corporate bigwigs are. They're not in the heart of rural New Zealand.
It's all scalable. It's all according to people from Leamington. Yes.
I think this guy thinks anyone who wears a shirt is a corporate bigwig. If you wear a button-up shirt and potentially a pair of black shoes, then you must be some sort of corporate bigwig.
Yeah. I quite like his explanation though, because we had no idea. Yeah. We just presumed it was just because they were close to each other. But the officers and the soldiers ones make sense, and that's quite good. Now it's developed into more of a rural city folk. But if you've been to Cambridge, that ain't no city, but it is full of horse wankers.
And there is a divide between officers and soldiers, which is why you don't have 4 captains, because there'll be a huge team divide. It's a bad idea, and quite frankly, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, there you go. You've tied a nice bow on this Super Rugby special podcast.
It all comes back to it.
Absolutely. Don't forget, tonight we've got coverage from 7 p.m. live and free on Radio Hauraki and on iHeartradio. So just search Alternative on there for uncensored coverage of Super Rugby. And again on Saturday night, myself and Makoni doing the Chiefs and the Blues. Other than that, thank you, Tony.
Hey, it's been a real pleasure. Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast, brought to you by Export Ultra. For more episodes, like and follow on iHeartradio or wherever you get your podcasts.